Hello, this is Holly Mae from LionSong Process. I want to talk a little bit about the inner wild, what I mean by that. I first became aware of the inner wild when I started to grieve a lot and struggle a lot with the outer destruction to our nature, to our environment around us. And I was suffering a lot about it, kind of feeling it on these big planetary collective levels of really sort of tapping into planetary levels of pain and sadness and grief and anger and just incredible loss about the harm to our beautiful planet. And while that's still true, that there is a lot of process going on outside in the outer sort of physicalized, manifest 3D world, there still is a lot of process of destruction and dissolve and dismantling. And it is at times still very painful to witness. What this experience prompted me towards ultimately was the discovery of an inner kingdom, an inner wilderness, an inner realm, which you might say is like the pre-existing blueprint of nature, of intact nature and intact wilderness, and a really free and beautiful and spacious and gorgeous and harmonized and imbalanced space. And this world within and the sort of energies that exist there and the beauties and harmonies and resonant spaces, and you could even say the beings that inhabit this realm have come to be very important in my personal process and in my way of relating to life on planet Earth. And it is in this realm of inner wilderness that I am able to touch into source. And by source, I mean, the source of all creation, of all life, kind of the origin. However you like to think about that is not really important, but more sort of where life comes from, kind of the essence of life and the original, I would say, playful intention and purity of life, that source. And it is through this process of going into source and going into the inner realm of inner nature, inner beauty, inner harmony, and discovering this kingdom inside, that I have been able to discover resources for healing, for harmonizing, for balancing, for accessing feelings of peace and beauty, in spite of the constant barrage of signals going on in the outer world landscape, where there is a lot of manipulation and a lot of attempt at directing our attention towards, let's just say, unwholesome thought forms that create feelings of misery and further separation. So there's sort of a barrage of inorganic signals in our environment. Just think about, how it feels when you're trying to listen to something on YouTube, somebody you really like or some music or whatever, and then it's suddenly interrupted by an ad. And that energy of aggression and insertion and violation, that's an example of like what I'm talking about, that it's trying to hijack our attention and take us towards energies that are unwholesome and not good for our being and not good for our nature, for our inner nature and our outer nature. And I have come to have this sense of reverence and understanding for the inner wild, for that space, and for the importance of being able to experience those spaces and to, I would say, practice going there, feeling those energies, those vibrations, those resonances, and holding them in my physical body here and now, and therefore sort of acting as a transmitter or a resonator of those qualities and really radiating them out into the field. And for a long time I didn't want to do that because I've always felt offended and violated, I would say, by other people's radiations, that, their sounds, their noises, their vibes, that I always felt it as an intrusion on myself and my boundaries and my privacy and my sovereignty. And I've always identified as somebody who's very sensitive and often feel overwhelmed and, just, oh my God, completely flummoxed and floored by, some days just going to the supermarket is too much for me, in terms of it just really sort of putting me in contact with a lot of vibes that I find to be so discordant to who I am and what I want, and that it's very energetically draining, or, it can also trigger states of trauma and fear and being upset about life on planet Earth, and, maybe feeling imprisoned or enslaved and disempowered and angry and, all of these things. So what the inner wild represents to me is a space that we can all go into and rediscover, and through our attempts at making connection, we can make it stronger, make it louder, you could say, in this world, and to bring in these sort of like beautiful sounds and harmonies and the resonances of unity, really. Of unity and organic elegance and all of the things of the natural world. Like I was looking at some photographs of Antarctica and some of the beautiful mountains and structures that are created around there, by the life force. And they're just so beautiful and pristine and perfect and elegant, and it just gives so much joy to see it. And those mountains, and this is true of all, mountains and sort of pristine and protected spaces that are intact still, they have this harmony and resonance and beauty and elegance and visual cohesion, and, they just express the quality of the source of life, our mother, our home, our real origin, the same force that made us, in the beginning anyway, the same force that we have a right to access and to come into contact to and in relationship with, and reconnect to. When we see her evidence in the physical world, when we see it, in nature, for example, it brings so much, joy and peace and cohesion and unity into this world. And my mission is somehow related to both doing that myself, going into the source, and giving it my best effort to allow qualities of source to resonate in me and to come out through my art, through my voice, through my presence, through the actions that I take, so that this signal, the imprint of source can be visible in this world and coexist here, and not just be drowned out by the signals of separation and disunity and fragmentation and so on. So when I say that LionSong is about creative process play that helps you get in touch with your inner wild, that is essentially what I mean, is that each person has a right to connect into and to contact the source of their own being and their consciousness, and the source of our world and the whole cosmos. And I have found that using creative process play is sort of a fun, tender, deeply meaningful, transformational way to do that. Of course, there are many, many ways to do it. And this is not about saying this is the right way and all those other ways are wrong at all. This is just an additional offering that comes from my experiences my own solo discoveries, but also my work with clients and groups of people, and just what's available to us when we bravely, humbly, courageously set out to make that connection with the intention of bringing more cohesion and unity and beauty and health and wholeness and balance, inspiration and joy and tenderness and vulnerability back into this world so that it benefits everybody, bringing it back to the surface of life and helping each other out. Thanks for listening.